Hey guys, we are going to talk about ways that you can make a narcissist go absolutely crazy. And before we start, for those of you who are viewing on YouTube, I would encourage you to like, share, and please subscribe if you enjoy my videos. Click the bell icon to be updated when I upload new ones. Okay, so when we are dealing with somebody who has NPD or narcissistic personality disorder, you assume that nothing that you can do and nothing that you can say will ever hurt them emotionally. And even when you try, it always seems to backfire on you. But I am here to end your misery. And once you learn what drives a narcissist insane, you can give them a taste of their own medicine and reverse the roles once and for all. Number one is the silent treatment. And if you are looking for ways to hurt someone who displays narcissistic behavior, the best way to do so is by ignoring them. Yes, that is right. I'm telling you to give them the silent treatment. And the best part about this is that you don't have to invest that much effort into it. And on the contrary, that's the entire point, for you to have to do nothing. And everyone who is a narcissistic type, they need a reaction from their victims, and it's what keeps them fueled, it's what keeps them alive, and what keeps them going in their day-to-day life. And for as long as you can remember, you may have given your narcissistic mother or father or partner exactly what they wanted from you. You cried, you begged for them to change, you argued with them until eventually you lost every bit of your strength. And what did you accomplish with this? That's right, one big fat nothing. So why wouldn't you change tactics if that is what you're after? Why wouldn't you go after ignoring them and behaving as if they don't exist? Trust me, this is what will absolutely trigger their narcissistic rage in the blink of an eye. So be very, very careful. And that's when, in all honesty, you will have them right where you want them. Number two is losing control. And what is common for everyone with NPD, every abuser, among other things, one of their ultimate goals is to have absolute control over their victims. For example, a normal person would be jealous of their romantic partner because, say they love them, but narcissists and psychopaths, sociopaths, emotional psychopaths, they get more possessive because they are scared of something more so than the contrary. And you have to be aware that with these narcissists, you are dealing with total control freaks. Everything has to be their way or nothing at all. It's their way or the highway. And that's why you must show them that they cannot rule over you anymore. And you are the one who is in charge of your life. So how do you do that? Well, you can start by disobeying them and doing that with some seemingly little things to start with if you're still in the relationship. However, the most important thing for you to do is to show them that they have zero influence. They have no influence over you, at least not as much as they used to. Number three is criticism. So here's every narcissist's biggest secret. They have incredibly low self-esteem deep down. And who would imagine that, right? Because they actually hide their true self, well, whatever remnants of that true self that exists, because they hate the person that they are deep down. And people who have NPD have a very fragile perception of self and their self-worth. So that is why being criticized is probably one of their biggest fears, and they invest a lot of time and energy in building a seemingly perfect face or facade that they show the world. And so the moment you criticize them about the smallest thing, you trigger a narcissistic injury, and you don't even have to do it on purpose. You can jokingly say that you don't like their new shirt or that they could have cleaned the house a tiny bit better. And you see, if you see what I'm talking about, it's a comment you'll forget about in a while, but that will be like an arrow into a narcissist's heart. And this includes constructive criticism, because the craziest thing that you can trigger narcissistic rage with is constructive criticism. And on a conscious level, they know that you mean well and that you are right. However, their fragile ego, it cannot stand admitting and accepting any type of criticism whatsoever. Number four, not being the center of attention. What does a narcissist need? Narcissistic supply, validation, admiration. What drives a narcissist insane? Not having any of that stuff. So it doesn't matter if we're talking about narcissistic parents, a romantic partner, a friend, they're all the same whenever it comes down to this. And these people enjoy the spotlight for the most part. And in fact, they need attention like a normal person needs air to breathe. And if they are involved with you in any way possible, they do want your undivided attention and refuse to settle for anything else. So what happens when someone else becomes the center of your attention? A narcissist goes completely crazy in some circumstances. But you know what the funniest thing about this is that they cannot take that you're your own center of attention either. They can't stand that. And the moment that you become the center of your own attention, the narcissist feels like they are losing the ground that they walk on, and they are totally lost, and they are ready to do whatever it takes to grab that spotlight back. And remember, they cannot live without their victim's validation and undivided attention. Even if it's positive or negative, it doesn't matter, even though they will do their best to hide this. Number 5 is being called out on their actions or being held accountable. How great would it be if we could all do whatever the hell we wanted to without anyone pointing out our mistakes? Well, that is actually what every narcissist expects of the world, of every victim that they have. And you have to be aware of one thing these people struggle with, and that is a lack of empathy. If you, say, for example, break up in the narcissistic relationship, you leave the narcissist, your ex will never, ever feel guilty. If they discard you, they'll never feel guilty. They're not capable of that. And not only that, they'll also be surprised when you do gather the courage to call them out on their actions. However, beware of one thing. You will never accomplish very much at all, if anything. If all you do is talk, they'll perceive it as nagging and criticism, and they won't take you seriously. And on the other hand, if you really refuse to give them a second chance and explain that your behavior is just a reaction to their actions, they'll be absolutely stunned. And we're talking about someone who thinks that they are smarter, the smartest person in the room, smarter than everybody in the world. So they'll go crazy when you tell them straight to their face that you know exactly what they're doing, exactly who you are, and that who they are, and that you don't plan on putting up with it. Number 6 is other people's happiness. We've already established that a lack of empathy is one of the most common narcissistic traits, if not the biggest narcissistic trait. And this does not only mean that they can't sympathize with someone else's pain. This lack of empathy also means that they don't have the ability to be happy for other people's successes and accomplishments in life. And on the contrary, they cannot stand to see somebody's happiness and will do everything in their power to undermine and destroy it. They hate it whenever they see a random stranger smiling and enjoying life. But you know whose happiness they despise the most? Yours. It is your happiness, especially if it has nothing to do with them. And at the end of the day, every narcissist is actually just a jealous. Deep down, they know they cannot feel pure and true love or happiness, and they hate anybody who seems to be capable of it. Basically, if you want to drive a narcissist crazy, it's enough to show them that you are genuinely happy. No faking it, though. Once they realize that all of the mind games and the gaslighting and all the emotional abuse they put you through didn't kill your spirit completely, they will be devastated. And it looks like they aren't as important as they initially deluded themselves into believing that they were. Number 7 is my personal favorite, mirroring a narcissist. So how to shut down a narcissist? It's enough to treat them the same way that they treat everybody else. Just give them a taste of their own medicine, reverse the tables, and make them walk a mile in your shoes. This kind of behavior is called mirroring a narcissist. And no, I'm not talking about narcissistic mirroring here, where a narcissistic person imitates everything you do just to get under your skin and get into a relationship with you. I'm talking about actually mirroring their actions. But don't worry, you will not become like them for real, and you're a normal person, and you're only pretending to do this, to play with this narcissist. But I'm warning you, narcissistic mirroring is anything but easy. It includes numerous manipulation tactics such as love bombing, followed by ghosting, gaslighting, the silent treatment, and so on. So it is not for the faint of heart. And if this person is physically violent, I do not recommend doing this. Let's get this straight, though. I would never, ever advise doing any of these things to some other random person. However, sometimes this really truly is the only way to emotionally hurt a narcissist. Number 8 is breaking their spell. What drives a narcissist insane? Well, the fact that their victim managed to break their spell. It's the realization that you got to the very bottom of their intentions. It's that you've got them all figured out. You have your finger on exactly who they are. And if you've started working on your mental health and that your healing journey has started, basically they are getting upset the moment they realize that you're a victim of narcissistic abuse. Understanding that is the very first step towards escaping the narcissist. And they know this very well, whether or not they consciously recognize it or not. They do not want you to take those rose-tinted glasses off, and they'll do everything in their power to prevent you from seeing them properly. But when you finally do get rid of their magic, they don't know what to do anymore. You're no longer enchanted, and they don't have as much influence over you as they used to have. Number 9 is the victim's independence. Remember how we talked about the narcissist losing control? You have to know that these people expect partners, friends, family members, neighbors, everybody to be emotionally dependent on them in some way or another, because they do not know or understand, or they're not capable of what real love is, and they don't appreciate people who are taking care of them in a healthy way. And on the contrary, the only thing that they accept as love is actually addiction. However, what happens when their victim stops being emotionally dependent on them? Let's be clear about this. I'm not saying that you have stopped loving them. I'm talking about emotional independence. That is another thing that a narcissist cannot stand. Your world has stopped revolving around them, which immediately destroys a narcissist's sense of self-worth. Nevertheless, I am not only talking about emotional independence. I'm talking about any kind of independence, including financial, social, and so on. They will go so insane if they see that you're capable of making your own decisions without their involvement. It looks like you don't need them anymore, and you don't, which means practically nothing is holding you back from leaving them. Number 10 is anyone being better than them or perceived as better than them. Everyone who has narcissistic personality disorder has very serious self-esteem issues, and they try to hide it. They constantly compare themselves to their surroundings and everybody in their surroundings, including friends, neighbors, family members, romantic partners, coworkers, and even people who happen to just pass them by on the street. And they're in their twisted sense of reality, they have to be better than everyone else. And on the contrary, they are completely worthless. So to them, people's entire existence on this planet is nothing but one gigantic competition, and their only goal is to defeat every single person around them and be on this throne that they've created. So what drives a narcissist insane? The horrible, terrible realization that somebody just might be better than them at something. And it is enough for you to praise their coworker or tell them that they have a good sense of humor, to saying that you like a friend's new car. Normal people would not even notice these types of remarks, but the narcissist, they'll think about that for days. Number 11 is ordinary treatment. What do I mean by ordinary treatment? One of the first red flags to pay attention to when figuring out if someone is a narcissist is this person's sense of self-importance. And that's the irony of their personalities, that they actually do struggle with major insecurities, but at the same time, they think that they are the most important person in the world. They expect VIP treatment wherever they go, and they literally want to feel like royalty, always under the spotlight. But what if this doesn't happen? What if you don't invite them to a party? What if you don't ignore them, nor do you welcome them as a special guest? You are totally indifferent. Trust me, indifference crushes them more than anything. It means that they have lost the ability to get any reaction from you, and reactions mean fuel. And that was their only superpower that they had. And if that doesn't destroy them at least a little bit, nothing will. Number 12 is public embarrassment. And if you know a thing about narcissism, you know that people who do have NPD are usually the most prominent members of society, and nobody is familiar with your narcissistic mother's true colors. On the contrary, people probably think of her as mom of the year. It doesn't matter what kind of narcissistic abuse you're going through. Your abuser will always, always do their best to hide it from the rest of the world. After all, why do you think this gaslighting is so important to them? They are terrified that you will speak out about their actions to other people, and they want to prevent it so badly that they are ready to persuade you that you are imagining things. So, what drives a narcissist insane? Destroying that public image. They cannot stand the thought of being embarrassed in front of other people. Criticizing and humiliating them when you're with company will do the trick, to be honest with you. But do you really honestly want to know what will destroy them completely? Showing the world their true colors, lifting the mask they show everyone, and revealing who they really are would crush them more than anything. And last but not least, going no contact. Finally, if you are wondering what drives a narcissist insane, the answer is truly no contact. This includes not talking to them, blocking their number, blocking their social media, ignoring any messages, not visiting places that you might run into them, or mentioning their names to a mutual friend. It means cutting them off completely and living your life as if that person was never a part of it. But there is something you have to keep in mind here. When you go no contact with someone, some people do it to get the narcissist back. You want them to feel your absence so they can appreciate your presence, but that's not how it works. Nevertheless, this should not be your primary goal when you're dealing with a narcissist, because you don't want this person back, and you don't want them obsessing over you, stalking you. You're going no contact for two reasons. First of all, you're doing it to drive the narcissist crazy. No, that's second. First of all is for you, but at the same time, you are doing it to help yourself heal. So what infuriates a narcissist? Not being under the spotlight, not getting the validation they crave, and losing control are what infuriates every narcissist. Basically, the best way to make them angry is to ignore them and not give them any attention whatsoever. My name is Sara Ann Brown, and this is Narcissistic Abuse 101. If you would like to donate to my cause, Narcissistic Abuse 101, click the PayPal link in my bio, and your donations help the production of these videos, my up and coming book, live speaking events, and free coaching for people who are in need. Thank you guys.